To the intro, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Welcome to the Sunday Roast Podcast, episode 31. I am Aaron, aka LAZYBOYLOOPS, and joining me today is the person that was recently released from jail for spending the better part of 8 hours building the flat pack furniture in his local IKEA. It's Paul, aka Pueblo Vista.
Thanks for having me. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to podcast number 31. 60 plus hours of content. Today, there's going to be a few cameos by my 4-year-old daughter. She enjoys like hitting us up and stuff. Or maybe not.
Number one fan. That's fine. Like, chill. Special guest.
Πού πας, αγάπη μου? Θα λύγεις λίγο λούφτ. Okay, ciao.
Ciao Bella. That's Italian, isn't it?
Ciao Bella, yeah.
Yeah, fucking know at this point.
It's a little bit of crying as well. Μελινάκι, πήγαινε αγάπη μου κάτω στη μαμάκα. Oh, this is the laughs about life. Anyway, this is a live podcast.
I mean, it always is. It is.
Yeah,
like life is just constantly being derailed by shit anyway. So
exactly,
it's absolutely cool.
And it happens. So it is what it is. If you don't like it, fuck off. Leave the live.
Yes,
go watch.
exactly.
Go watch somebody else's video. We don't care.
Yes, exactly. Screw y'all. Screw all y'all. If you're listening to this, get in the bin. This is now a family podcast. We talk about I don't know, woes with
life and stuff,
friends, family, and parents.
Yeah.
Don't you just hate the rising cost of fuel?
I don't know. I don't use fuel anymore. I use donkeys and horses.
Oh yeah, you're in Greece now, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like there's nothing.
I saw you over the weekend in your traditional garb.
I know, right? Yeah. Yesterday was a little bit of a history lesson. Was Greek Independence Day yesterday. So it was the day that we have officially managed to push away the Turks after 4 centuries of slavery. And 4 centuries of slavery, occupation, yada, yada, yada. We managed to kick them out, and then that was that. Even though the revolution technically historically started a year before that, Greece being a very religious country and all that stuff, they kind of like combined the date. They pushed the date a year further in order to fall on the same day with, what is it? There is some sort of like religious holiday at the same time, so it had like a godly sort of like meaning to it, like it was like a will of God that we would become free again in a way. But yeah, these fucking Christians have to involve themselves in everything. Like it's fucking stupid. I hate it, but yeah, it is what it is. Welcome to this is a Christian podcast, guys.
Blessed be thy name. I don't fucking know.
Amen.
Yeah.
it's not a lie that I, as an artist, according to Chartmetric, I'm like really high in the Christian lo-fi charts. I've shown.
I didn't even know that there was Christian lo-fi.
I've sent screenshots of you. I sent screenshots to you.
Oh, another message from Paul.
Oh yeah.
Ignore.
Go to the bin. Oh yeah, mate. Sure, great. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Fire emoji.
Fire beats, bro. Fucking hell. So yeah, it's definitely been. I feel like we are now officially a once a month podcast, considering we have consecutively missed every other podcast we were supposed to do. Yes. It's cool. It means that we have plenty of things to kind of throw out into the world. And I think the first thing is something I want to kind of chat about. Is something to do with your favorite major label.
Oh, okay.
UMG.
Yeah. I've read some stuff over the past few weeks.
Exactly. So I guess first I should preface it with, I'm talking about this from a place of privy, I guess, because
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a full disclosure thing. Like the marketing agency that I freelance for, Deezer is one of our clients, so
Okay.
I was aware of these talks before it was official. But then, hey ho, here we go. It's now news, and basically, the general gist of this is Universal has partnered with Deezer to explore new streaming models, specifically favoring artists more. And this is in line with what UMG have already done with Tidal. And essentially, it's nothing set in stone. So, like, don't get too excited that you're going to be earning more over at Deezer. But essentially, what this is UMG, because they are one of the biggest major labels, they're now kind of, to me, it feels like they are pushing, trying to support the little guy, show that they're not just out here to take everyone's money or whatever, and basically just say, right, we will talk with like Tidal, Deezer. I don't know if they're in talks, like I can't be talking about like Spotify or whatever, but specifically this Deezer partnership, essentially they are saying, right, let's look at ways that we can improve what's the word that they use, like remuneration or something like that. There's a specific word.
Remuneration, yeah, that's the word for basically getting paid. Remuneration.
Find alternative
Remuneration.
payment.
Yeah.
Find
Yeah.
alternative payment models to help the artists to compensated fairly.
Yeah.
And one of the main things that's being spoken about is the user-centric payment model. Even though this is just one of the many things that people within this topic are exploring, that's one of the main things that a lot of the articles that have come out around this are focusing on. And essentially what that is, I know we've mentioned this before, but with so like right now, let's take Spotify for example. At the end of every month, they take the big pot that everyone's been putting their monthly subscriptions into, and they essentially divide it up. They just scoop it out and give it to like their top artists, and then that part eventually filters down to everyone else.
Everyone else.
With the user-centric model, instead of everyone's subscriptions going into a pot, what happens instead is, say for example, I spend the entire month of March listening to myself. Fuck it, let's just I just spend the entire month listening to just
Why not?
solely my own music. My 9.99 or however much the subscription Spotify subscription is at the minute for this month will go directly to me. Or let's say I listen to 10 different artists, that 9.99 will then get split up and go directly to them because I have listened to those specifically. In theory, that would mean that those artists would be getting paid directly for the streams that they've received from each individual person. So, those of us that have I've got 50,000 monthly listeners at the moment on Spotify. That means a select percentage of the subscription from each of those subscribers would go directly to me, rather than me just getting a slice of the very, very big pie. And I think the reason why this is kind of big news is, first of all, we've got a major label that is openly looking into this, and it means that we could potentially be looking at a future where we will be getting more money as artists from streaming services, because right now the way that the whole industry is, like, music isn't we're not earning as much as, well, artists aren't earning as much as they used to, like back in the day when people would buy CDs or buy cassettes, buy vinyl records, whatever.
No way.
The streaming model now means that we're getting paid absolutely. We all know we're getting paid piss all for people to consume our music. If someone can hop onto Spotify, listen to a whole 11-track album, and the artist would receive like
Piss.
what, like 10p, something like 10 cents, something like that. Whereas if they got if someone purchased their CD, yeah, all right, the label will still take a percentage of that they'd probably get more from that CD than they would have than they do with streaming. So I guess this is kind of exciting because it means that once big major labels start seeing this as a possibility, whether it's the user-centric model or whether it's a different way of paying artists better, then everyone else will start rolling as well. And it means that Spotify eventually will have to think, oh, okay, this model that we're doing at the moment, we need to change, especially if you have like Deezer, Tidal, Apple. You know, Apple Music already pay more anyway, but if they get involved with this, if Amazon Music get involved with this, it's a pretty big deal. So it's definitely an exciting news for the music industry. But I think one of the best or the key takeaways in this, especially, I think, is a quote from um, the guy at UMG. He specifically singles out mood music and
Oh,
like rain sounds and shit, and saying that they're taking too much money.
of course.
I can't find the exact quote, but I do remember. Oh, here we go. The current system has clear issues that need to be addressed, such as increasing amounts of non-music tracks uploaded to platforms, poor quality covers with misspelled artist names, and songs to steal streams, and people trying to trick the system with the length of tracks.
No way.
Yeah, and that I believe was. Oh no, sorry, that was the CEO of Deezer that said that.
Okay.
So yeah, they're very conscious of the fact that people that may be related to a type of food are
Okay.
contributors to
Yeah, the thing
potential
is,
decrease in quality of content that is now available on streaming services.
I mean, they have managed to decrease the quality of content long enough. So now we're trying to basically desaturate
Yeah.
the content. Yeah, okay, cool, fine. But it's interesting, yeah, it's interesting.
It's a very interesting thing, especially with them singling out like non-music tracks, because we all know that like aside from like lo-fi, like throw that out of the window for a second.
Yeah,
There is a big market for like rain sounds, atmosphere sounds, like essentially just white noise,
yeah,
to help people sleep. Like if you're a new user to Spotify, and I've seen a couple of screenshots online of this, that they will recommend white noise for babies
oh, yeah, I mean,
because it's one of the most popular like albums or playlists or something that's happening right now.
it is, yeah.
And the fact is, people are earning money from what is essentially like a noise that happens when you pirate some software and it realizes, or a noise that happens when you turn on a TV back in the fucking 90s and it's
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
tuned.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
it's white noise has historically helped a lot of parents, including me, put babies to sleep, and it's always like a variation of a white noise. Could be a Hoover, could be I don't know, static, could
yeah,
be anything, could be you doing like shh. It's the same. It's the same. But
yeah.
yeah. I mean, great, great.
Yeah, but this kind of goes back to when we were talking about lo-fi fruits and their 30-second audio, and
Oh
how
yeah.
if Spotify or streaming services take notice of this, that this could be really bad for those of us that fuck about with like 1 minute tracks.
Yeah.
And the fact that the CEO of Deezer's specifically pointing out people that trick the system with the length of tracks means that it's being noticed, and this could spell both. It's kind of a positive thing, but also a negative thing for the lo-fi scene, especially for those of us that rely on those mood playlists, on those playlists for sleep. I've mentioned it, I think last week, that there was that TikTok of someone saying, hey, you can now remove this from your taste profile, and specifically singled out lo-fi because
Yeah.
all they do is listen to that to sleep, and they don't want to listen to that in amongst all of their normal music listening.
Yeah.
I think we're now getting to an era where people are realizing that this type of music is just sitting in amongst that fan sounds, ocean sounds, white noise, brown noise thing, and yeah, it's getting a bit. I don't know. It's an interesting topic, and it's good to see that people are discussing better ways to pay artists, but at the same time, the fact that it's noticing that thing is a bit worrying.
Personally,
And
I think just to add to what you're saying, I think there should be some sort of distinction between what we consider a music genre and whatnot. Like I would just even say that white noise is just, it's noise and should not be rewarded the same amount of royalties as a track, as a music track, whether it's an instrumental one or whether it's like a song or, you know, vocals or whatever. It's something, but it should definitely, you know, not being, you know, rewarded the same amount of money while streaming it. That's why we had all these fuckers basically abusing the system with 30-second whatever. But what do you do now? Like it's too, they done this, like this is done and out of the way and water under the bridge and whatever. Like, is somebody gonna, you know, get that money back? Or like, it's not like you award somebody like a fucking award and then after a while you're like, oh, give us back the award. Some shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's a loss at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, at least when it comes to content IDing that kind of stuff, all the, I would say the majority of the companies that actually provide that service, like Content ID, your content, flag specific sounds as generic sounds. For example, this happened to me recently with a release that we had earlier this year. It included some bird chirping sounds. So we got asked to, I mean, I just submit the tracks. And then I got a couple of days later, I got an email that said, "Oh, if you could provide us the clean recordings without the generic ambient sounds like birds chirping and water flowing and all that kind of crap." So thankfully that happens. Imagine like somebody content IDing white noise.
I wouldn't surprise me though. If there
No, of course not. I mean, in this day and age, nothing is fucking surprising me at all. So
it really wouldn't surprise me.
I know.
But yeah, in a similar vein though, an article came out a few days ago that essentially said that in 2022 there were 38 million tracks on music streaming services that were played 0 times.
0 times.
0 times. Imagine being oh fuck.
not even yourself. You didn't even stream it yourself. Like you just released it.
Well, that's what Haley said to me. She was like, surely they would listen to it themselves. And I was thinking, well, no, maybe it's stuff that, you know, stuff that you'd put out in like maybe 2019 or 2020. And you'd gone through listening to it yourself, and then you'd moved on to another thing. You know, I'm sure there are those artists that have dropped hundreds of thousands of tracks that maybe last year just didn't get a single play.
This is fucking sad, you know. I mean, this goes past like follow your dreams, like keep pushing those tracks out, man. Let's go, let's do it.
It would be sick though if it was just a little notification that popped up on like your Spotify for artists that was like, this had 0 plays in 2020. That should be enwrapped, honestly.
I mean, there should be like some sort of policy, like if you don't have any amount of that. Oh, that would be actually like a unpopular opinion. Like, if you don't get 1,000 streams by, I don't know, in 3 months or like 6 months or whatever, then your shit is just being removed.
Yeah, that would be
done.
Yeah. That would be wild, though, to be fair.
I would fucking vote for that shit.
I think to kind of add a bit of a thingy to that, I think it would need to be if you are not a new artist, because I think that would be unfair to give like a new artist a week to get some streams.
To get 1,000 streams. Well, maybe specific lo-fi artists or something like.
Fuck it, let's just target this shit.
Yeah. if you're a lo-fi artist, there's lo-fi or chill or beats in your artist name, or there's like an animal's name or like a fruit or a vegetable or anything, you get like repercussions. I don't know. No, but definitely, like, I mean, it's the interesting part is that, you know, Universal being like one of the big 3 companies out there, and they get into discussions in sort of like fixing the problematic remuneration thing, like the payments basically and all that stuff. And the people they start talking to is Deezer and Tidal, like, which is basically the third most popular platform, which is Deezer. I mean, they're pretty big in France and Brazil. They're number one in France, which makes sense. It's a French company. Well, it doesn't make sense, but good for them. And then Tidal, which has been more irrelevant than irrelevancy for a duration of quite a period of time. They've done nothing to elevate their platform, make it a little bit more user-friendly. And they've received, I think, several... they receive financing a few times, so they don't go belly up, basically, because there's like so much shit well, I don't know. It started like pretty well. Like you had all these big names, like what was it, like Dr.
Like
Dre,
Beyonce, Jay-Z.
Beyonce. I know Jay-Z. I think what was it? Deadmau5 was on it at some point, and then he pulled out. I mean, Deadmau5 is doing his thing. Like that's like a fucking true music pioneer, but that's another podcast. So I really don't know. Like, okay, talking with Deezer makes sense. Maybe talking to Apple and Spotify, which is like the important guys, but talking to Tidal, like, to what end? Like, what would you want to involve
I think
Tidal?
what it is more of, I guess it's seen as a bit safe. They can use like Tidal to
Experiment?
I guess maybe experiment and play around with ideas to see if it works with a smaller user base, and then if it goes wrong, well, it's not it's not the largest pie of the streaming thing. It's
so they went
it's
like
kind of low risk.
Yeah, super like a lightweight and basically like a middleweight like Deezer. So let's see where it works. I mean, it's good. I mean, in all my years in streaming, I mean, I would guess it has to be like. Well, after Tidal, let's just say the like 6-7 years, I haven't really seen anything from Tidal, like stream related or whatever, even though like they pay 10 times more than everybody else, but then you get like 3 streams maybe. And that's it.
I wouldn't even know how many. Yeah,
I mean, I had a friend of mine, like Tidal is pretty big in Poland, apparently, which is quite interesting. And I did listen with like some really high-end headphones and high-end stereo systems, like this sort of like audiophile version of the songs that they have. Talking about niche shit. Like
the mastered versions.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could maybe hear the difference between, let's say, a track like for my favorite band Metallica, let's say Enter Sandman. Like I've listened to this track so many times on CD, on cassette, on YouTube, on these speakers, on my other speaker headphones, like earbuds, whatever. I could hear the difference. I was like, oh shit, like it felt like really, to describe it like very easily would say, you felt like as if you were in the studio where this thing was recorded. Like it felt like really live.
Yeah.
Top quality recording though, not like a shitty live thing. And it's like crispy clean, fat bass, like really like warm. Like you could feel the kicks in your chest in a way.
Yeah.
Is this for the average user? No.
I think this is a lot of the things that. So at the moment, I think Deezer's launched their hi-fi version. Tidal, obviously, that was their selling point, was you can get, hi-fi how the mastering engineers wanted it to sound. And then everyone's been kind of begging Spotify, because they've been teasing it for years and years and years, that they're going to do a hi-fi version as well. And the way that I understand it, and this could be completely wrong, but the way that I understand it is the average person doesn't, as you mentioned, have that kind of hardware to really make the most of that thing. Like even Tidal's thing, like FAQ says that you need a high-end digital audio converter in order for you to make the most of this hi-fi audio.
Yeah.
I mostly listen to Spotify, well, on my computer, which doesn't have a digital audio converter, but also on my phone. And I've looked into it. Like, I'm a bit of a music nerd. I've looked into like portable ones,
Yeah.
and like a portable digital audio converter is the same as this battery pack.
Yeah.
Now imagine trying to carry that's got a cable coming from here to this to headphones.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yeah, I'm just out listening to music. It's not possible. Like, and again, I couldn't just put these earbuds in. I'd need higher end headphones to put on as well. So I'm walking out with these giant cans on my head of brick that's an audio converter, and then my phone, and it's just like, is this really worth it? Especially because I'm going to be then paying an extra £5 to £10 a month to actually make the most of it. So, and this is what I always find quite funny about those that are really bashing Spotify for not launching their high end like hi-fi audio thing. It's like, yeah, but you're going to be paying extra, and chances are you're not actually hearing the sounds that you should be. But you've got that pseudo, like, oh, I've paid for the hi-fi. This is the hi-fi version. I hear it. It's crisper. It's like, it's the same.
But it's exactly what you said earlier. Like, it has to do with basically the user base. It's as simple as that. It's like a very small user base that Tidal has. It doesn't have to do anything with, the sound quality or whatever. They're gonna use him like fucking lab rats, basically, to do their experiments and then see if it works. And if it works, let's go forward. And yeah, Deezer is great as well. I mean, Deezer is like really nice as a platform too. Like, the app is great too. I mean, in a way, I'm happy that they haven't gone balls deep with the lo-fi stuff, because I had discussions with a lot of people that say, oh no, nobody cares about Deezer because we don't get any streams and blah 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 blah. It's the good thing with Deezer is like there must be some sort of like quality control or some quality assurance happening behind the scenes, especially when it comes like to curating stuff. Of course, they have like a couple of lo-fi playlists or like chill relaxing playlists, which are great as well, but the main key there is that our boy lo-fi girl is French. So he gets a lot of support for that, of course. Like, his playlists are, their playlists are like number one when it comes to the lo-fi stuff, which is great. But then again, Deezer requires a lot of, I would say, quality music. Or if you're good, and I don't really want to pat me in the back, maybe I am, but if you're good enough, then you will start getting fans. Like, for me, because I've always like included Deezer links to whatever I did, and I always included like French or French-speaking countries in my advertisement or whatever. I managed to get enough fans that I would listen to my music on Deezer organically, not just my solo stuff, but also the label stuff. So, for like, but maybe I need to start flexing my Deezer numbers. Like, there's not a lot of people who have like, I don't know, like 1,000 followers on Deezer as an artist. I think it's pretty dope.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, we're talking about all this and like, Deezer, Tidal could be getting better monetization for artists, but let's face it, who in the lo-fi scenes are going to give a fuck, because it's not Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nobody sees numbers, and there's no numbers anywhere, and blah blah.
And I've seen it for myself. Like, every week when I update my playlists, I use To My Music to put it over to Deezer as well. All my main kind of frontline playlists are on Deezer, and the amount of times that I'll go and transfer those tracks over, and like 2 or 3 will be missing because they haven't been put out on Deezer. They've just been put out on Spotify. And it's like the amount of like, you're just cutting your thing short because you're not putting your music everywhere.
Exactly.
And there's so many opportunities in all of these different streaming services to get your music out there and be heard. Like you said, you managed to get fans on there. There are users. There are like I think there are a couple of million users on.
Exactly.
Billion, I'm not 100% sure for Deezer. So to kind of not include your music on those platforms is just dumb, because you think like Spotify is king.
Exactly.
But, there's only so many times that we can fucking say that.
Yeah, Spotify is great and all that, but it's like at the end of the day, you have to like do whatever you got to do. Like I personally, like, I think also like I also gave up on Spotify on a lot of things. Like there's so many, I would say, stakeholders, and there's so many things happening behind the scenes right now that we're not privy to. Maybe we kind of like, I think, had an idea what was kind of going on maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, but now the whole situation has become so, I would say, fucked. I think even on the Spotify's end, like there's politics happening and bullshit behind bullshit, like every other company. Like especially we saw that after the whole Thanos thing happened, Thanos snap. What was it, like the 7-8% layoffs?
Yeah.
We saw a bunch of changes, like playlists wouldn't get updated, people wouldn't answer their emails, like you would get like 404s and this mail service is like this email doesn't work and blah blah blah. And there is something that is changing in the background, but I'm not really sure into what direction that is at the moment. But it seems
Spotify
like
editorials are still a mess. Like
exactly
some of the ones that, you know, Lo-Fi Beats has been updating Thursdays, Tuesdays, Mondays.
Yeah.
There's no specific day that's updating anymore. Whereas we all know that Friday came along, it was editorial day, boom. But that's all just gone to absolute shit now. Like there were some playlists that they started new that haven't been updated since the start of the year. There are playlists that I've seen, because I think we track them, maybe about 35 to 40 lo-fi specific or like moody specific editorials, and I think 2 or 3 have been completely just wiped since the thing as well. Like those playlists just don't exist anymore.
Yeah, which is definitely
so.
sad.
I think there's definitely something going on. And I guess that could push us on to the next topic, which is specifically around editorials. And this actually is one of the craziest things I think that's happened with editorial, as far as I'm aware, in that Spotify has essentially claimed a user-generated editorial playlist. What's even weirder is it's actually still curated by that person. It's still curated by them. So the Lonely Girl I Want to Sleep playlist or something was essentially kind of taken under the wing of Spotify. It's now an editorial playlist. If you're placed on it, you will receive the email to say you've been placed on this editorial playlist. And I think so it seems to be Spotify Japan that have done it, because they are a Japanese account, I believe. It is still curated by the Lonely Girl account, because I have submitted something to them and it was placed that week. So yay, but also that's really strange. And it's on Spotify's account. You know, you go onto the playlist and it will say, you know, by Spotify. It still weirdly has the same description that's like, yep, submit here to the user. And I think the weirdest part about it is it wasn't even necessarily a huge playlist. I think it had, when it was taken over, like 6K followers. It wasn't even like one of the huge, gigantic playlists that are super popular among like user-generated playlists. It was a really strange occurrence to happen, and I'm wondering whether this is what Spotify are moving towards. I've heard from a few people with it that have, you know, connections with Spotify that say, hearsay or whatever, but they say that Spotify is struggling with the curation now, and they are relying mostly on algorithms, and that's why editorials aren't really getting updated as much anymore. And I'm wondering now if Spotify are actively looking for playlists that are curated by users, or curated regularly enough by users that they are just gonna take them under their wing, like essentially absorb them into Spotify, so they become like official editorial playlists, to, I guess, alleviate that weight of all of the editorial submissions they get. I'm obviously not privy enough to know whether they have access to the submissions that are coming through Spotify for Artists, or whether they're simply just continuing the same process that they have. But I think once word starts to get out, we're obviously not helping that case, but once word starts to get out, they're probably going to get fucking overwhelmed with submissions.
Wow. It's pretty interesting. Like there's like so many. Basically, when we were made aware of that, I think I saw it, and then a few hours later, you also sent that to me as well. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, there's like so many things that came into my mind. Like I thought, first thing that I thought was like, the whole submit for editorial placement is shit. It never worked. And now it's like belly up and it's fucked up. The other thing that I thought is like, and I think, basically more or less cross-referencing and researching through people who have connections or stuff that has been heard in the grapevine, that the majority of the people that got laid off were curators, basically. This also like enhanced the suspicion that I had about curation on Spotify has more holes than the fucking Swiss cheese at the moment. Like there's a lot of payola shit happening, and then maybe people got caught up or whatever. Or also the fact that it was like one of the domino effects that happened in the whole tech world, basically, that we saw it like even like a few months back when there was like massive layoffs on Twitter, on Facebook, on Google, and of course like you as a company, as a commercial company, no matter who you are, you always like start from, when you want to lay off people, you start laying off new hires or people that are not as essential in the whole administration thing. Like especially when it comes to, let's say, Spotify, who has been historically for the past 2-3 years curate playlists based on algorithms on machines, and then maybe you tweak it with a little bit of like a human intervention, basically, like move the tracks around and whatever. I mean, we both use smarter playlists, which is essentially the same fucking thing. Like somebody gets access through the API to your fucking account, and then you can get suggestions of tracks and blah blah blah. So it won't be that difficult. Why would you have to pay a full salary and insurance for a person when a few lines of code can do that for you? It's like so many fucking things. Like I really don't know where this is going to play out. I think we definitely need to wait it out a couple of more months, even more, and then we can definitely. I mean, I would definitely be able to say, oh, this happened because of this or because of that or whatever. But because the other thing that I'm thinking, and sorry to drag it out so long, is that like you said, this happened. This was like Spotify Japan is responsible for that move. The thing is that Spotify is pretty dead in Japan, and the reason why this happens is that because 95% of the population in Japan, or at least recorded sales show that, is like iOS devices. So most of the people who are subscribed in a music service are subscribed to Apple Music.
Yeah.
Like it's also like not it's also a big fact that my top countries when it comes to like my Apple Music data, number 1 is Japan and number 2 is US, or sometimes like, I mean, it has been US for the longest period of time. And then the past couple of years, it's like every month, like Japan might pop up or be like number 1 and then maybe number 2 in every other month. So it's maybe it's like Spotify Japan wants to kind of like vertically invade the lo-fi thing, because lo-fi is pretty big. Or let's say lo-fi, let's just say instrumental music that is closer to manga and Japanese aesthetic and anime. Basically not lo-fi girl stuff, but more anime manga stuff. I don't know if it makes sense. Maybe the people who are, it makes sense to us, of course, and to other people who are embedded in this fucking scene. But pretty boy music, that's not the thing. That's not it.
Yeah. No, and to kind of back up your point, like my third top country on Apple Music is Japan.
Okay.
So
but you don't make lo-fi though, so it's even surprising that's number 3 for you, right?
What the fuck?
Well, you're the one who always says like you don't even make fucking lo-fi anymore, so I'm just saying.
No, like I used to.
Yeah.
The track, I think there's trail off or whatever it is. But yeah. No, I make beats, bro.
I know. But
no, I do avoid that kind of anime sound though.
Exactly.
Even though when I made something that I thought was very much, this is 100% like, chill hop, like not lo-fi. So the first thing someone messaged me was like, "Oh yeah, this is like an anime beat," and I'm like, "What the fuck?
Fuck off!" No.
No, like, I don't actually have an issue with anime. But I don't like sleepy beats. That's the only thing that I'm fucking annoyed about is sleepy shit. But whatever. I think you're right there. But it's interesting that the Lonely Girl curator is actually either managed or a part of a label called Sasacorrect.
Okay, interesting.
They're a Japanese label, and to be honest, they are legit. They're not just they've worked with like Google in Japan. They have some pretty, I think, big Japanese artists. But yeah, Lonely Girl is one of their.
There has been like I would say like an influx of Japanese artists making beats as of late. I would say, I mean, they've always been around, but I would say the last 6 to 8 months, you would see more and more people. And I mean, I personally, as a label, had a few of them, which is like super great. I'm always like I feel myself when I speak to like Japanese creators, because like I respect a culture that I don't really understand so much.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit like in awe when it comes to like, communicating with them. Like there's things like how you should be polite, how something you might say might sound like stupid or whatever. I mean, sometimes I would even, I mean, I've done it like several times that I would like Google Translate arigato gozaimashita, which is like the super nice, polite way to say thank you about something without trying to appropriate things. Then I found out there's like 1,000 different ways you can be super polite about saying thank you. I just go with the first one. And then I even asked a bunch of them, like, is it stupid? Is it like, do I sound too much of a gaijin, like, an Ausland, foreigner if I do this, or is it like stupid? It's like, no. It's like, it's good that at least you try.
Yeah. I think the only thing I know is sumimasen, which is sorry, I think, which I learned that from our man in Japan with what is his face from not Top Gear? Well, yeah, it is James May. That's
James
it.
May, okay.
Yeah,
how do you say? How do you say? I'm sorry.
I think it's like asumimasen, I think, or something like that.
It's long. Probably... Yeah. I remember it's like a little bit longer. Yeah. What is it? The other thing that says that what?
Yeah, sumimasen.
What's the other? The one that I like is like nande, which is like what? I think it means what, who, where, what. Nante? I don't know. A bunch of Naruto bullshit. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway. Those of us from the West, we just get our Japanese.
Anyway, yeah. And it seems like they start... it's interesting because like you see a bunch of them... I wouldn't say infiltrate, but, them, for example, submitting music to me, I find it like pretty cool because it means like I broke through, and then they're looking for... labels that they can support, they can release their music, which in a way, I'm happy that this happens. But in a similar fashion, I'm also like a bit disappointed. Like, guys, like, don't come over here. Like, fuck Europe, fuck the West.
Yeah.
Like, just stay there, do your thing. Like, it's so fucked up here. Like, it's so shit. Like, you shouldn't. But
yeah, I mean, we do have like, I guess, would I say pioneers? We have people in the scene at the moment that are really trying to bring that Japanese lo-fi sound. You know, you've obviously got Tsunami Sounds.
Tsunami,
They're working with, I think they're working with Dash Go to do their Japanese lo-fi playlist. You've also got, I think, the label, which is just called Japan Lo-Fi. And again, they're working with Tsunami Sounds as well, that are really kind of pushing that more Japanese representation. I wouldn't even say sound. I think it very much does have a sound, but it's more that kind of representation. I mean, yeah, I think everything. I'm just one of those people that think whatever comes out of Japan is just amazing.
Now, one thing that is definitely going to go, that I see a direction going to when it comes to this kind of music, and it's like, it's not a lie. Like there's a couple of more labels that does it. It's like basically localizing the content now. Like you see this with Tsunami. Damon is like pushing a Japanese aesthetic like so hard, and he's doing like a really great job. Like I love the stuff that he puts out. You see that with Stereo Fox, for example. Like Evo is focusing on the Bulgarian beat making scene. I'm starting to do something similar like with Greece now, since I'm Greek and there's not so many labels. At least not. I'm not. Let's just say
not obvious about
it. Yeah, exactly. It's behind the scenes. You know me. I'm not the kind of guy that's like, oh, announcement. Like I'm just gonna do it, and then I'm not like, I don't like talking about stuff that I would like to do. I just do them, and then that's that. Yeah. So I will focus it. Maybe I'm not really gonna focus 100% of that. I'm just gonna try to, let's say, become like what I think that the guys are doing, at least, like become a little bit of like a thought leader, which is not that bad. Because at the end of the day, you have to, especially when it comes when it's like let's say a smaller and more secluded country, like also like Japan or like Bulgaria or like Greece or whatever, it makes sense. You, for example, doing something like for the British scene, like British producers, could be like a little bit too much because it's like a bigger country. There's a much more when it comes to like producers and all that stuff. I think most of the British producers are actually lo-fi girls as well. So. And it's like the kind of sound that you don't really like. Could be like a bunch of them are there, but I know like a bunch of others who aren't. But it is what it is. You understand what I'm saying at the end of the day. It definitely makes sense. And I think it's a lot more easier to manage at some point. And you say, why not? Like if you have like a big enough platform, why wouldn't you want to basically use it to push stuff that is from your home country or whatever? So it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I have a complete lack of patriotism for like Britain and the UK anyway, so I have no interest in trying to pioneer British fucking lo-fi.
Yeah.
Or a cup of tea and fucking. Why is that Australian? Why did I go? Right, mate. Fucking.
Well, you will definitely have to like start using like kangaroos and koalas if you want to make like a proper label that with lo-fi.
There's too many koalas.
Exactly.
In
There's always like, I think there's like a lo-fi koala and chill koalas and
yeah. Well, you've got Clover Records there, a mascot's koala, and then another label started up with pretty much exact same image of the koala. So.
Or you can go for like one of these huge, or like the super tiny marsupials. Like it looks like a mouse mixed with like a kangaroo. What is it called? Like it's like super small. It's like a mouse with kangaroo legs. Like it's really crazy. I don't know what it's called, but it's like Australia's ecosystem is like so unique.
Yeah.
That it's really like you don't animals that you see in Australia, you don't see them anywhere else. So it's really great.
Huntsman spider.
Except lo-fi spider.
Nah, fuck that.
A spider. I've never spider would be a great beat maker if you think about it, like tapping all those fucking drum beats and whatever, like exactly. 8 legs. That'd be so cool. Yeah. You heard it here first, guys.
That's it. Lo-fi spider records. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's go. Hello at lofispiderrecords.com.
No,
that is a joke. It is not real.
Again, it's interesting that what's happening. Like, I don't know. Let's say if so far it's just contained in this one playlist, like a third-party playlist that was converted into editorial playlist. I think the reason why we didn't see like a boom in the followers of everything could be like a combination of, like I said earlier, like Japan not really being that big on Spotify, and also maybe they haven't, you know, the lack of curators as well, and maybe they haven't put it in their I don't know, user acquisition rotation thing that they have. Because I mean, the other major playlists, whether it's like lo-fi beats or jazz vibes or whatever, like if you see their statistics on Chartmetric, they get like several hundred, I would say tens of thousands of followers every day. So I'm guessing like as soon as there must be some sort of like user acquisition rotation system thing happening. Like there is definitely somebody who can, you know, turn the tap on and user starts flowing in. I mean, it's user made. So anyway, let's see. We have to wait and see what happens. I mean, I'm happy if they want to, you know, acquire my playlists, even though, you know, if something like this happens, I would gladly update it every fucking 3 days if they ask me to.
I think I was gonna. Do you know what I was gonna say? I think they would probably avoid like label-owned label-owned playlists. But that being said, the fact that this is tied to that Japanese label makes me think otherwise.
Exactly. Was about
you know,
to say.
I think we'll just have to see. Like, I'm definitely curious to see whether any more UG playlists get kind of adopted by Spotify. But it also shows that Spotify has the capabilities to transfer ownership of playlists.
I mean, yeah, of course. We always kind of like suspected that you can do that. So let's see.
I wonder how many times. The thing is, I wonder how many times that they've actually done that we don't know about. So like, you know, they released their Chill Hop one, and then they relaunched their, I think, Chill Instrumental Beats one that used to be Lo-Fi plus Chill, I think. Okay. No, Lo-Fi plus Chill used to be Chill Instrumental Beats, changed it to Lo-Fi plus Chill, but then they relaunched that, but it already had like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, followers. So I wonder if they've already done that and just branded it as Spotify.
Who knows? We'll see. We're going into like a very interesting era when it comes to the whole. Like we said so many times in the past, this fucking, like, it never seems to amaze us. Like what fucking stories that come out like every other week. Like you think like, oh, that's it, it's over, and then something fucking happens. It's like, I mean, I'm surprised that and I've shared that with you like privately as well. Like I'm surprised things are still going, like the way they are. Like it's because after like all this, you know, the purge that we had, all these fucking changes now with lo-fi and all these big players coming in and started like fucking milking the thing, and the fucking genre gets saturated. And like I was even surprised, like we're still kind of like, I don't know, standing, and you can still call yourself like a label and everything goes great, and the numbers are not decimated, or because I think I told you before, like the moment that I would think that I cannot really provide for an artist, or like my platform is not as big as I think it is anymore, then there's no point doing that. There's no point continuing. But things seems kind of like work still. So we must be doing something right, I guess.
Yeah, I maybe.
I guess.
Yeah, but no, it definitely it's so, like, I guess since we started this podcast, what, year before last?
Yeah,
like the end of, well, it was middle of last year.
Middle of last year, yeah.
That with us being like analyzing this scene and looking into how things are going, especially within like Spotify and stuff, like so much has changed on kind of a surface level, but also quite deep as well, that you just kind of don't realize if you don't pay much attention to it.
No.
And like, you know, there's always that joke of like, oh, fucking podcast about lo-fi music, but it's like, I mean, we're still here and we still have so much to talk about. Yeah. Like every time.
Every fucking time.
It's just shit that's happening all the time. I mean, the next thing that, or like the last thing that I've got to talk about is like cracked. Like, man, I can't believe that it's actually happening. But it is, and holy shit. So kind of speaking about the oversaturation and the, I guess when we've mentioned like ghost producing and stuff, I've seen for myself proof that there is a relatively newish label out there that is buying beats from Fiverr and putting them out under different aliases that they themselves run.
So basically, you're telling me, because like when you sent me like the topic, I was like, so basically somebody's copying what Spotify's been doing with like, you know, ambient music and all that kind of crap.
Yeah. Yeah, they've decided to do it for themselves, except they've not been very very sly about it, I guess. You know, they've left public comments on Fiverr thanking the
is like they didn't even try to like, so there's like an account, like a customer account, let's say, with like, you know, like KiwiBear Records, whatever, like.
Obviously, you can't look into user profiles, but obviously, if you've purchased anything from Fiverr, you'll always be prompted to like leave a comment.
You have
purchase
to,
you know, and this account has publicly thanked a creator on Fiverr that specifically ghost produces beats and has subsequently used those. So it seems to be less around lo-fi and more between that kind of bridge of lo-fi and funk that they are, you know, that they're doing that stuff. But I first heard of this particular label because people have started releasing with them, like legitimate artists that were working with them now as well. And then, I'm just like...
So basically, you already start releasing with artists, and then you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe I need to make like a buck anyway. Like maybe I need to make 100% of whatever. But is it like one of the labels that is it a German label?
I'm not 100% sure where they're from. But yeah, basically they have a playlist that is pretty popular because they've been running ads. I think they've been successfully running ads on this for a couple of years, as far as I'm aware, and they've been able to build up these.
There's a hype. There's a hype at least behind it. Like, so they get like streams, like, but do they get like editorials and stuff a lot, or?
Let me just have a quick look.
Because it would make, like, for me, it would make sense. Like if you get editorials anyway, if you're one of these like top 10, top 5 guys that gets the same editorials all the time, then you might think like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll fucking ghost produce some shit. But then at the same time, why not, you know, keep it under wraps basically, and then, you know, make an artist name and put your name that you're like the composer, and then that's that, instead of like going like that avenue. But again, it's like we said in the beginning, like nothing is fucking surprising anymore.
No, it's not.
Is it? It's like I
mean, I'm just looking through their fucking user account that has all of their playlists, and God, it's just so fucking beta male, sigma male, whatever the fuck. Like they're really jumping in. Like their first playlist, Sigma, military motivation, gym motivation, with a jacked up fucking guy on the cover.
Okay.
Like, oh geez, Patrick Bateman.
I just
American Psycho, military workout. Like, this is so fucking. Oh my god, they've got one that's called Andrew Tate vibes. I'm sorry, no, fuck you.
And it's basically the same tracks over and over, like same thing that basically happens with what is it, medieval beats.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's real gross. I'm not gonna lie, that is absolutely fucking gross.
I mean,
people that happily jump on this like Sigma alpha male fucking shit that's going on at the moment, get in the fucking bin.
Yeah. That's like, I would say this, right? Like, and I think we share the same mentality anyway. Like, there's no, like, sure, no shade. You know, it's like, I just don't see a point coming from the label world, you know, me managing a label. Like, when you're actually releasing music with legitimate artists, I really don't see a point that you go out of your way, or let's say take the extra step and say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to commission some beats and release them under some like random artist aliases and have like whatever. Like I just don't see the point now to do that. It's like, why would you bother? Like I would just say it's just an expense at the end of the day. Like you're just spending money. For what? And if you're like a relatively new label and maybe you're not as hyped as much, like I don't know. I just find it as a label owner, label manager, I just find it a little bit pointless. Like you don't really have to.
To kind of just to answer your question about editorials, no. Just looking at these ones that are definitely fake artists, none of them have got editorial. Oh no, this one has.
Okay.
That one's on that playlist, not Lo-Fi Beats, but yeah, they've got on a couple.
Oh well, whatever.
Yeah.
I hope it works out. Good for them. But at the end of it, it's like I would just also like from the artist perspective, if I were an artist and I already released with them, and then I would just see that they do something like that, I would just feel weird as well. Like, hey, like I've released with a label that kind of like
that is boosting their own ecosystem, essentially.
Yeah, like what's the point, bro? Like, what is it? I don't know,
though, isn't it?
It's just funny. Like, it's like, why would you do that? Like, it's like, but then again, it's like there's so much shit that's been happening in this fucking like beats scene.
Well, it guarantees income, really, though, doesn't it? At the end of the day, if you're paying, like, let's say you pay $50 a month on ads, that's getting your playlist, a couple of 100,000 streams a month. And the top 10 top 10 tracks are all tracks that you get 100% of those royalties for, after spending $15, $20 for someone just to make a ghost beat.
Yeah, exactly. Is it like?
I mean, what you're investing like maybe $150, and you've got an album's worth of music that you can put out there, and just continuously.
I really don't know. Like, it's, man, like, it's, I don't know. We live, we learn.
From a business perspective, it absolutely makes sense. Like, you are using a system that Spotify themselves are even guilty of using.
Yeah.
And, you
However,
are investing...
though, Spotify is actually, it's investing money in ghost production that will eventually recoup, because they just put their shit that they make in their editorial playlist. So it's like a guaranteed thing. Like, they make more than what they invest. But unless you are in cahoots with some curator and you generate a bunch of... It would make... Let's just say this. It would make sense for Lo-Fi Girl to do this.
Yeah.
But for the average label that... you might have like a great playlist with, let's say, 30, 40, 100K followers. And you just like it doesn't. I think it doesn't. But hey, sure.
Most of the tracks from these artists are pushing 100K, 150K. So, I'd be well on your side if it was maybe they were getting like a couple of thousand, but they're hitting hundreds of thousands, tens of hundreds of thousands, and even on like their newer stuff, the newer stuff has got like this track that was released on the 18th of February.
So maybe, I'm just thinking out loud. So maybe that was the business plan from the beginning, to basically do a follow the business plan, the Spotify business plan, and then you release music from legitimate artists to kind of like create like a smoke screen. Basically, right? It's like, we're like, okay, but great. In that sense, I can see the business model behind it. Fine by me. Like, I don't give two shits. Yeah, exactly. Like,
from a business perspective,
if that's morally it's bullshit. Like, we've been talking about this forever, but I guess that's the business plan, and just go for it. Yeah, I mean, once again, this proves that this has been the genre, the style of music that we invested a lot emotionally, and personally, like, because we like to make the beat. We just like music, and then the whole thing snowballed for a bunch of us, and we say, okay, I can make a label because I want my own sound and blah blah blah. Other people say, okay, I want to make money, which is great. It's great. It's great. Like, I mean, even like, how should I say? Even morally, I don't disagree with that, because the morality of following that particular business plan is, I find it solid. Like, if that's what you want to do, I don't see anything wrong with that. Because you and me have different morals and ethos.
Yeah.
Doing what we do. So again, I don't want to be like, I think I've reached the point that I cannot really say, oh, I'm right and you're fucking wrong. Like, everybody does whatever they think it's right for them. You and me, we have a different mindset. We have a different agenda.
Yeah.
And we just want to push and do whatever we want to do differently. Some other people, they just want to make money. Okay. Yeah. It's like, at the end of the day, it's all about if you can scale it enough, if it's scalable, how the longevity of the thing. Like, after a point, it's like, I particularly enjoy, I don't know, meeting people and talking to new artists and, like, whatever. Like, I find it, like, very funny and cool. Other people, they just want to, ghost produce a bunch of beats on Fiverr and just release them under random names, like what was it, Avocado or whatever, that kind of shit. So, it's great. You do you, again, like, you do you, man. But I just find it, like, so fucking.
It's fucked.
Yeah, it is. So like, dumb. The only thing that I would say is, like, it's that I would just try to blow the whistle for any legitimate artist out there that maybe, if you see something like that, like, if you realize, like, a label that you have released music with, or that's trying to, approach you to release music, just don't do it, because at the end of the day, like, they're using you to cover up their business plan, to make it look more legitimate or whatever. Don't be the smoke in the smoke screen. Like, it's not really gonna, make you look good at the end of the day in the long run, associated with people that you have nothing to benefit from. You know what I mean? So it's whatever.
Yeah.
Because they will, at the end of the day, they will prioritize their own music over yours, because they would want to make 100% and not the 50%. So, oh God.
I wish I knew. I wish you could just get rid of them. I don't know. I just don't think. I get it. I do get it. It's the music industry. People want to make money. People want to, especially in lo-fi, want to do get a lot of return from very little investment, like, effort.
Yeah.
And, like, I get it, but at the same time, like, fuck off. Because there are those of us that sit here and, I've just finished. I've just kind of finished working on an EP that I've really, I guess, struggled with, because I just, as we know from, like, the first bunch of podcasts, I wasn't really feeling anything anymore. Like, I was just like, I don't know where I want to go with this. I'm not feeling happy with the way that my music's going. I'm not liking my sound and things like that. But I pushed through it. I wanted to do something. I wanted to work through it, and I've now created something that I'm proud of, even to a point of getting someone else to master it for me, which was very much of an eye opener of how shit I am at mixing music. But to then, all of that effort that I've put in, because essentially I've been working on these since the end of last year, and I'll be putting them out in, like, August. So there's almost, like, there's over 6 months of of work that's kind of gone into what is essentially 5 songs that will probably get listened to a couple of 100,000 times, maybe. I don't know how well I put that out.
That'd be great, actually.
Yeah. But to know that there are people that are just fucking jumping on these gig economy platforms and being like, hey, you just fire out a track in 10 minutes, send it to me, and I'll put it out and get 150,000 streams on playlists that I myself are kind of boosting because of ads and whatever. And again, that's there's nothing illegal about it. It's not morally, it's a bit shit. And for people like me that really put, or us, I guess, as well, because I know when you work on your own stuff, you really put a lot of effort into it and stuff like that. And I don't know, just kind of a bit of a kick in the teeth. It's like, what the fuck am I wasting 6 to 8 months of my life perfecting what is essentially like 4 or 5 songs?
Yeah.
For someone to be getting, 10, 15, 20 songs from some random person on Fiverr, and putting them out over the course of like 3 weeks and boosting their own plays through their own spotlight playlists. It's just
well, I think the answer is pretty simple. Like the reason why you do it, why we do it, is firstly you do it for yourself.
Yeah. And
you don't really give a fuck. You just have this creative shit. You just have this shit in your head, and you wanna let it out through a, let's say, creative prism in a way. You just make something out of nothing, man. Like that is the whole point of creation. Like you just do shit, and then you don't give a fuck. And it's all about legacy, and it's all about like thinking like in 10 years time. I think this is what I also think. And I'm pretty sure you share the same mindset. Is that the shit that I'm making now? Would I be able to listen to them in like 10 years from now and say, oh, that was a good joint, like what I used to do? Or imagine like, and I think I said that to you like privately as well. Like, well, of course, no, we also like shared that on the podcast. It's like, it would be super funny for me turning like, I don't know, 60, 70 years old or whatever. And then sitting down with like my kid and be like, oh, look at what dad used to do like 30 years ago. And be like, she'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
That's exactly
like,
what I was about to say. It's
like it's...
we could die, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we could get old, die old age, 50, 60, 70, however many years down the line. And again, we can't say what the future of music consumption is going to be.
No way.
But let's say it's exactly the same as it is today. Spotify is still a thing. Music streaming is still a thing. It's not being beamed into our heads by a fucking Tesla chip or whatever. Like, we could be well and gone.
Yeah.
And someone could just load up Spotify, load up, let's keep it within like my own little thing. So like, my upbeat lo-fi playlist, it's still going to be there, whatever. And then just like bumping my music.
Fuck, sweet.
And I'm we're not actually considering that this could still be here for like decades.
Exactly, yeah.
And who's getting my royalties?
The estate.
There's just a PayPal account that's just totting up over the years. Exactly, the same with like the label stuff.
No, it's like that exact thing that you described now. Somebody listened to you. They are going to be listening to a piece of music that has your fucking name on it. And I'm not talking about lazy boy loop stuff. It's going to say when it comes to the metadata, the composer would be Aaron Richardson. That would be it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's the same thing. It's not going to be like fucking DJ Avocado Lo-Fi and then a blank in the composer thing because it was just like a fucking business thing that I was doing there to make some money because nobody would care. So I don't know, man. It's like I think I would say this. We've seen these sort of like business, I wouldn't call them schemes. Let's say these business structures come and go the past, I don't know, 2-3 years, maybe more, like, especially more in detail the past couple of years that we've been doing the podcast, and we started paying like even more attention because we want to find like, subjects to talk about. there's always like, I would say this, like there's no longevity in these things. Like it's like a quick cash grab that might last something between like 6 to 16 months, and then that's it. Like it eventually dies off because you just like all these tracks are like a dime a dozen. There's no actual content creator behind that. There's no Instagram account. There's no what we said in previous podcasts as well. Like nobody is gonna attach themselves to you, not as a fan of just an artist, like maybe as a fan of the actual music genre. If there's nothing, if there's no persona behind it, there's like no persona. If there's no soul behind it, you know what I mean? Like you can have like a persona, but if you don't back it up somehow with like, oh, you know what? Fucking Paul, for example. Yeah, there's the Pueblo Vista account. There's also like the Facebook thing, and the guy is wearing like a fucking local costume, going in a fucking random parade for the independence of the country. You know what I mean? Like it's it's the same guy who makes these fucking beats. Or like it's Aaron who like likes to play the bass and he dyes his hair, and there's like you see snippets from your life, like from your house or whatever. Like people can relate to that kind of shit as well. And if they can relate, if somebody relates with something, they start paying money. And this thing here, the t-shirt that I'm wearing, is an actual example of what I'm saying. I relate to the NBA player Giannis Antetokounmpo, who happens to be Greek, and he's also a black guy. It's like he stems from Nigeria. That's where his parents come from. He was born in Greece, raised in Greece. He is a Greek citizen or whatever, and his brand is the Freak, the Greek Freak. I like him. I pay money for this shit.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been through a period of following him on, you know, his basketball career for like the first 6-7 years when he was like a rookie to now being like a 2-time MVP, All-Star. He's been in the All-Star games like forever, like, you know. And only like this year or maybe last year, I started buying his merch because I started like relating to what he does, and I respect him, and I like, you know. So, okay, it's the same thing you do with artists. Like, my favorite band is Metallica. Yeah, in the beginning, back in the day when, you know, because I'm fucking old, I had like a copy of the first Metallica thing ever was like a Master of Puppets cassette tape. Yeah. And it was just like a copy TDK 60-minute tape. And then I would get everything else on tape and start listening to this. And after a year of listening to that shit, I started buying the CDs, the merch, the whatever, like T-shirts, poster flags. Like I have like a fucking Ride the Lightning poster flag that I think with nice. The electric chair and the bolts and all that crap. Like, fuck, I think I should just put it like somewhere like around here in the background. Hold on. Okay, there we go. The groceries are there. Oh, bingo. I thought
like I'm right there with you.
For a moment, I thought the groceries showed up. So far, nothing though, right? What the hell?
They're here any second. But
okay.
Like I've had this for ages.
Fuck,
that was out of a Metal Hammer magazine.
Oh, okay. Exactly. Like, eventually that shit happens, you know? So I think that's why I keep saying in the beginning, like, you know, you and me being here, doing whatever we do for that long, because, you know, being in this scene for more than a year is considered a fucking achievement. So we must be doing something, right? So I don't know. Like that's why I do understand why you might be like pissed off at some point. It's like, fuck, it's like you feel like it's a kick in the teeth. At the same time, for me, I'm like, you know, another one.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
it's another one.
I guess it's just kind of hard to see that you know there are people that are just deciding to go down that route rather than actually, you know, again building that legacy. You know, the same with the label. Like, you know, I'm putting my personality, or at least we're trying to put our personality out into the label and just be like, hey, this is us. This is the music that we create. Like, I was speaking with Carlos from Chill Select. That, you know, he develops a very specific sound with his label. You know, you can listen to all of their catalog and it's like upbeat, like jazzy stuff. There is no like sleepy stuff in there and whatever. It's a very, and that's the kind of sound that, well, not the kind of sound that we're creating, but we're trying to create our sort of unique sound, which seems to be leaning a little bit more towards the kind of left field, weirder, experimental side of things, which is absolutely cool. Like I love all of that shit. And again, it's just seeing that a label is taking the easy route of, I don't know, just paying their way to get a catalog, and it's like, or you could just do the hard work that everyone else in with labels are doing. But
no, it's. I would just say this to close it up is that it's good that these people are out there doing whatever the fuck they're doing, because this helps us separate from them.
Yeah, true.
If everybody was doing what we're doing, then everything would be great, you know? So fuck it. I don't want that. I don't want something like that. I want people to do that kind of shit so that other people can tell the difference between me and these guys, or you and these guys, or us and these guys. So it's great content. Like we're like 100% happy that there's people doing that stuff, because we get to talk about that shit.
Yeah, true. To be fair, if there wasn't anything which is so perfect.
Exactly. So, and at the same time, I'm super happy that they are out there doing whatever they're doing, and people can really, you know, if you have like half a brain, you can tell like the difference between us and them. So that's super great. Like it's the yin and the yang. You cannot have like, it's nature. Like you have both. It's impossible not to. So you know.
On that note, though, I think groceries are here, so I might have to cut it short.
Yeah, great.
Not really sure. It's like an hour and a half.
It's not bad. It's great. It's great. Cool.
It's a nice quick one. Nice quick Sunrise podcast.
Chop. It's been great having everybody again on this podcast. Hopefully the other one will be in 2 weeks, and not in like, we're not going to go like on a monthly basis. Otherwise, fuck it. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, we have lives now. Shit happens. Yeah. Let's see. Whatever.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Everything is down here. Yeah. Fuck TikTok. Yeah.
Hey, I like TikTok.
I don't. Fuck it. Cool. Okay, guys. See you. Ta-ta.
Tatty buys.